Hello everyone. Good evening from Nurture. Today we'll be discussing about the role chess has in improving parenting quality. We have with us Parth Ashok Narang from nurtr.com. Parth has been coaching for the past 11 years and has coached more than 2 lakh individuals through workshops, webinars, and training. He's coached more than 50,000 interview aspirants, 25,000 couples, and 20,000 teachers, and is currently devoting his 100% to nurture and making chess the thing in India. Nurture is here to guide you with that. So now I'll be passing on some questions to Parth. The first one is, there are many bad things in social media. How do you keep a child away from them?
Yeah, hi Ambika. Thank you so much for the introduction. And in fact, kudos to the initiative of School Connects and nurtr.com, which made this entire thing possible tonight on this fine Saturday evening. And I also appreciate all the wonderful parents who have joined us, keeping time aside on a Saturday evening. And first things first, before we jump onto the questions part, it's very essential to understand, like if I talk about till 2005, 2006, we seldom came across webinars and workshops on the topic or other subject called parenting. But something out there has changed over the last few years, almost like more than a decade now, that there has been a surge in the requirement that people want to understand what actually parenting is, how to deal with children, especially when they're having attributes of being a stubborn child or not being very social, not participating in events and all. So there is one very clear phenomenon which I've observed all these years I've been traveling. I usually ask parents when I'm sitting with parents or interacting, that what are some good reasons for sending out the child for good education or for giving out the best resources available. And it's overwhelming. I usually get three replies parents give me. The first is like, if a child grows up to be doing well in life, he can get a good qualification, which in turn can give him a good job. He can earn his bread and butter. Second of all, they say that, of course, if a child is educated, he's brought up well, he's going to have a lot of respect out there in the society. And third reason I usually get, it's still hilarious though, that if a child is brought up well, he or she can get a good match at the time of getting married, and it's very surprising, rather little unfortunate, that many times this very element of bringing up a fine human being, a fine part of the society is really missing. And that's precisely the reason why there has been a lot of misunderstanding with this thing called parenting, and why not most, but many of us parents have been at times struggling to understand how the kids are thinking, how their minds are programmed, and if at all there are issues or any problem, what are the root cause of those problems. So I personally feel like we all understand technology has taken over almost all aspects of our lives. And just for instance, children are lacking a lot of patience these days. I mean, majority of the kids we come across, parents also complain that when we were children, we were far more patient than our children are these days. They get cranky very often. They resort to getting violent, raising their voice, shouting, even under normal circumstances. So we as parents, or we as part of the society, have to understand that the children are being accustomed to click and receive approach. Like it's so easy to order a mobile phone. It's so easy to order or like even order a ride. If you have to book a cab, you just have to click. Within 2 or 3 minutes, you have a cab waiting outside. So the children are actually not exposed to why it's important to wait, why it's important to slow down in life, and consequently, we come across when children are not able to wait for things to arrive, or they're very quick to jump to conclusions, or if they have demands, they want those demands to be met. They want their needs to be fulfilled right away. And even the questions, Ambika, which we have received today, I think are very much around children being stubborn, or they're not stepping up in the game of life, right? So communication in the first place, love, time, empathy, and communication, four attributes. Communication in the first place plays a very important role in parenting. And many times parents feel that if we are asking the child how is he doing, or if you're spending enough, maybe like half an hour, 1 hour time in the day with the child, that pretty much suffices the communication part. But of course, the things are really different, because there has been a lot of talk about parenting out there. A lot of books have been written, a lot of YouTube videos are there, a lot of professionals are out there. But there is absolutely a great need to understand how the child is thinking when he is being parented upon. Like we all are great parents, you know how to parent a child, but how the child is perceiving the parenting, or how is he receiving that parenting, is actually something which we all need to understand. And if you ask children these days, if you interview children, if you do a lot of surveys, we at nurtr.com also, we keep doing surveys, interacting with children when we're talking about their career options and all. There has been a lot of dearth of connect between parents and their children. Like, children want to be heard. I mean, even if you understand the child comes on this planet, I mean, he tries to grab the attention, he cries. And then sometimes it's really funny, like when I'm around kids, I share an personal incident with you, that I have a nephew who's like 4 years now. When he was just born and he was 1 or 2 years of age, I would travel to their place, and sometimes I'll be on the phone all the time, and this little fellow would come. He would try to pull on my trouser and say like something, dada dada, whatever he said, and I would just look at him. Okay, yes, I would continue on my call, and of course, like I would do it 2 or 3 times, and eventually I'll just give up. I said, okay, let me just call you back. So I'll just drop my phone and listen to him. Okay, yes, what do you want? And all he would want is, ah, So there is a very strong need of children to be heard, to be noticed, to grab attention. And I think that is one reason why children are actually stubborn in the first place, or they're too talkative in the first place, or when we at times start labeling them as naughty children. And it's a very fancy physiology these days. Thanks to internet and all these modes of communication, we start calling the children hyperactive also. And that's when we start going to counselors and therapists, because we feel the child is hyperactive. But we need to understand very importantly that in a child, there could be 99% of time when we wrongly perceive the child to be hyperactive, he is just active enough, seeking your attention, seeking your approval for the things he is doing. And we as a parent need to definitely step up there, be there more for the child, and of course indulge in all the small talk that can be done. I mean, of course, there are many times both the parents are working, a lot of commute time is there, we're not able to find quality time. But I guess it's really important to understand that there has to be a sense of a full-time job responsibility when it comes to communicating with children. And like of course, like this is an evidence. We are having more than 100 parents right now who are watching this live. It's a sense of pride that parents are there out there who are making an exception by doing things which are really important. But at the same time, there are things which can further help the child improve in the game of life, and of course other areas, be it behavior, be it psychology, be it the academics. And the reason why we chose to discuss how chess as a game, or how chess as a discipline can help a parent be a better parent, was because we strongly understand at nurtr.com, and of course at School Connect as well, that chess is not only a game. I mean, people usually say, what is chess? And I'm getting a lot of questions on my screen as well right now. Some of the children who play chess, the parents are asking with chess-based questions. We need to understand chess is not only a game. Chess is more of a lifestyle. It's more of a discipline, which not only gives you a mode of recreation, it helps you in areas of life such as being more patient and being more tolerant towards what others are doing, towards what happens to us, and of course be more respectful towards our surroundings. And speaking of patience, we were talking to one of the greatest coaches out there, Grandmaster R.B. Ramesh once, and we asked him that if chess can change the world in one of the biggest ways, what would that way be? And he very finely answered that crime would cease to exist if a lot of people, a lot of children start playing chess. And that's again because of the reason that chess as a game makes you in a habit of slowing down before they making the next move. Because for those of you who have, in fact, I think most of us have played chess as a child, on those plastic chess boards. It's very essential to think before making the next move. And I think that is one reason why we feel that if children are playing chess, if they're more involved in the game of chess, they would be in a habit of slowing down, doing all the evaluation, all the analysis before saying or doing something. Talking about patience, that's again very needed, be it about writing an exam or about interacting with the peer group or even about behaving back at home. It's essential that a child has that patience and that sense of respect for the other person's point of view also. So chess, I would say, if that is introduced in a child's life at an early age. In fact, I even have one of the questions one parent has asked, that what is the right age to introduce chess to a child? And we have been asking this question to a lot of chess champions, chess masters across the world, and children as young as 3 years of age can be introduced to the game of chess, because that is where the actual conditioning and seasoning starts to happen. And of course, I would say we as parents also can get more involved in the game of chess, because the child should not be the only player when it comes to either the game of life or the game of chess. And of course, thanks to technology, now there are tools, now there are resources available online on the internet, which can enable that option of sitting in the comforts of your home, and of course learning chess and even practicing it. So I think chess, that is why, is one of our strongest belief that it can actually turn the tables, and it can actually make a dent when it comes to effective parenting. Yeah. So Ambika, I think we can side by side start taking some questions, and yeah.
So I have another question here, which has actually just come up. We were talking about hyperactive kids.
Okay.
So I have a question from Srinivasan KS, that I'm worried as a chess parent that my son has become even more introvert. So shy and glued to the chessboard computer. So what was he after to become a chess player? How has that actually helped him? Which I found was a
Right. Yeah. See, I just read this nice thing somewhere, that everything out there is like medicine. Too much of it and it loses the significance. So I think it's end of the day all about moderation, like how everything can be introduced in moderate amounts. I mean, if as a parent we are observing that because of playing a lot of chess, the child is becoming introvert, I think it's high time to introduce other elements, other things into the child's life, so as he's not only glued to one thing, and he's actually doing various things whenever he's in leisure time or whenever he has time to follow a hobby or passion. And also, it's very essential to understand that never ever bring this up in front of the child that he is seeming to getting introvert or he has become introvert because of chess or any other thing, because that phrase in itself starts to trigger the symptoms of a child becoming introvert. First of all, it's normal if the child is displaying some qualities of not being very expressive. It could not be because of chess, but could be a general characteristic of the child's personality. But if you as a parent has actually observed a pattern that after starting to play chess or after getting indulged in the indoor games, he is becoming introvert, then I think it's high time that some outdoor activity should be added to his life. Same thing happens when the senior children are preparing for entrance exams. And because I have some experience, so I'll share a little insight here, that when we are too engrossed in one thing, which is more of intellectual, more of indoors, and does not require a lot of physical effort, there is a tendency to go in a shell, because we start to program our mind accordingly. And once our mind is programmed, our heart, our body, everything gets programmed accordingly. So we can introduce some elements of physical workout, some routine of morning walk, some sort of maybe if the child is too young, of course, I'll not say, go join a gym with him, but of course, some physical activity can be added. And it's absolutely fine to let him be exposed to other means of entertainment as well, other modes of entertainment as well, maybe watching a nice cartoon series end of the day. maybe allowing him to play some other fun game on the mobile phone as well. And I'm actually highlighting this part because there has been a lot of talk about snatching away the mobile phones completely and not allowing the children to play the games on mobile phones. So it's perfectly okay to let him indulge in various other things in addition to playing chess. Because end of the day, he's of course a chess player, but we should not forget he is a child who needs to taste every flavor out there, so that few years down the line he can actually choose for himself what he wants to pursue and why he wants to pursue. Yeah.
Quite often I would say if someone has a passion, then initially they really get involved in it, but you learn to balance it over time also, right?
Right, exactly. So moderation, as I said, is pretty much the answer there. I mean, and even when it comes to diet and other areas, I think if we practice moderation, life is good. Yeah. Thank you, Ambika. Can we have another question, please?
Yeah. So the next question I have is, how do kids eat healthy food and not junk food?
Wow. And I think all the parents watching this right now must be having a big smile on the face, because majority parents find it tough to, I would say, control the dietary habits of the children. Well, honestly speaking, there is no rule book, you know, and every body type is different to maybe suggest what should be eaten, how should be done. But one thing remains universal, one thing that remains consistent is, do not ever let or maybe ask the child, eat this. Never tell the child, eat this. You know, say, come, let's eat this. You know, even not with child, many parents, I'm very sure, must be struggling with their own dietary habits. So the best way is to lead by example. If you want your child to eat ghiye ka sabji or karele ka sabji or something, first of all, of course, you can try to make it interesting to eat, and of course, try to set an example by having meals together, by not forcing the child to eat. Let him see you eat a healthy diet and patronize and follow what you are doing. And because even we as adults, sometimes there is a huge barrier when someone instructs us what is to be done. So what is ideal is change the entire ecosystem when it comes around diet. Introduce more healthy items in your monthly grocery supplies. And now here it comes. Like I was speaking to a mother once, and it was actually in a very recent chess tournament. We were speaking about diet of the child, and she complained that my daughter eats a lot of fried frozen snacks which come in the market these days. So what could I possibly do to not encourage her? So I simply asked her, ma'am, I would simply say that please stop bringing the stuff in your pantry. You know, stop stocking the pantry with that. So her reply was very nice, I would say, but it was full of love. No, sir. I mean, how can I actually not get the stuff? She's only a child. She would be hurt and offended if I don't bring that stuff. But I guess we have to bite the bullet sometimes in case we feel that a child is eating unhealthy. We need to regulate certain things. We even need to change our dietary habits. You cannot be eating a fried or a frozen snack in front of the child and asking him not to eat. So lifestyle modification, diet modification in the entire ecosystem of the family, especially as couples, as spouses, husband and wife, both should themselves start eating healthy in case they want to encourage their children to adopt a healthy lifestyle. And of course, in Hindi, we say there is a word called mamta, which means a mother's love. That mamta has to be, I would say, sacrificed a little bit when it comes to feeding the child a healthy diet, because the child might not be happy in the first place eating a healthy portion of meal or maybe a healthy entry on the menu. But eventually that has to become a part of his habit and his preferences. Yeah. Yes, Ambika, over to you, please.
Yeah. So another question that has come up quite a lot actually on the chats that I'm seeing is about the passion of a child. Like, how do you ascertain whether the child is truly interested in what they're pursuing, or for that matter, anything? Like, how do you know it's really their dream?
That's again a very common question these days on the online forums and all. People like parents want to understand what are the passions and real interests. I'm again going to say something which is going to sound a little odd, but because I believe in not only suggesting, actually walking the talk. So experientially speaking, it's really not important to ascertain whether he is pursuing the right passion or not. A child is too young to be benchmarked, I would say, evaluated about his passions and hobbies. The only thing we as a parent can do is to let him be what he's being. For example, especially even the chess parents, especially who are listening this, sometimes the child gets into the habit of playing chess, or for instance, any other game, be it cricket, be it football, be it any other game, and he stops enjoying it. There would be certain signs. One would be he might evade attending the classes or coaching, or maybe evade attending and participating in the tournaments. Maybe his performance could be plummeting. He could see a drop in the performance, or maybe he could sometimes just come and straightforwardly say that, hey mom, hey dad, I just don't want to do it. Just notice the signs. There is no litmus, there is no assessment test for that. There is absolutely no rule book to ascertain whether a child is following the right passion or not. A child is still evolving. Even a 15, 16-year young child is still evolving, I would say. And the only way to, again, I would not use the word ascertain, but to understand what the child passions are, let him do things, do the things he's liking, let him drop the things he's not liking, and of course, being there for him. So, Ambika, can we have another question, please?
If there's a single child and he has no siblings, he doesn't understand the concept of sharing. So how do you really make a child understand the concept of sharing with others?
Okay. Again, lot of my answers today are going to be common. Set an example. Do not indulge in storytelling or lecturing the child. A lot of these fancy phrases. Sharing is caring. I mean, those are easy to preach. And of course, that is the reason why this question has come, because parents exactly know. And by the way, let me congratulate and compliment all the parents out there. You all are amazing parents. We all are amazing parents. It's just the approach, just the mode of delivery of our wisdom that sometimes creates a gap between the child and us. I would say be an example when it comes to telling the child that sharing is equal to caring. Casual trips to some places where the child could appreciate that sharing is important. It could be an orphanage, it could be a old age home, it could be a cow shelter, it could be an animal shelter. So this thing has to be instilled in his character, not to be told that please share, because again, when we say, hey Aaron, please share, we are instructing, and the last thing children want is to be instructed. You know what? Because when they're back at school, they get the instruction. When they go for coaching, they're instructed. When they write an exam, there are 10 instructions on the question paper. So a child's life is so replete with, so full of instructions that in routine, when it comes to parenting or being parented upon, the last thing he would want is instructions. So do not tell him that okay share, but rather set an example. Do some activities, indulge in some sort of engagement that could make him appreciate that sharing is an important attribute of life. And one thing more I would like to add on a very I would say emotional note here, that it's important that we as parents share something with our children as well, rather than only expecting that the child should be sharing what he goes through, what goes on in his head. We as parents, we as couples should also get into the habit of sharing our inner, I would say, the thought process, our sentiments. And the easiest thing to share in this beautiful world, on this amazing planet, is hugs. So to start with, we can get into a ritual of hugging our children every day, in the morning when they wake up, before they leave for the school, when they come back from school, when they do well in exam, when they don't do well in exam, when they eat their meals, when they don't eat their meals, when they sleep, when they refuse to sleep, when they wake up in the middle of the night scared, no matter what, start sharing hugs, and of course, some intervention, some engagement that would make them appreciate that there is a world which is not receiving all the luxuries that they are getting, all the resources they are getting, and that's precisely where the habit of sharing starts to, actually happen. And I'll rather want to answer one question here. A mother has asked, my daughter wants to be a chess grandmaster, So what should be our role in her dream to be fulfilled? And I've answered this question earlier as well. As a parent, just be there. Let her enjoy the game. Support her in getting quality chess training. Take her to various tournaments. And I think that's one of the questions also, Ambika, that how to balance between studies and how many tournaments and all. So be there, be involved in the child's game. Do not judge whether the child is losing more or winning more. Do not compliment too much. Do not snub too much. Just be there. And it's a long way for her to be a chess grandmaster. And I'm very positive a parent of your kind would be a great support system, and she'll definitely become a chess grandmaster someday. And another question which is popping up on the screen live right now is, as a parent, where should we stop pushing the child for discipline, or where we draw a line? See, I appreciate this question, but I will still stick to the basics here. That let us understand there is no benchmark, there is no rule book, there is absolutely no theory, no science that would tell that this is where we need to stop pushing the child. Every child is unique. We need to understand. We need to feel. We need to observe the patterns. But of course, when the child is starting to indulge in violent behavior, abusive usage of abusive language, and of course, stopping to communicate at all. So these usually are the three important, I would say, symptoms or signs, which sometimes indicate that the child is being given way too many instructions, and he's being pushed too much. And of course, when I say going into the shell or not communicating, it could be a drop in his portion size of the food also he or she is eating. It could be a drop in the water intake the child is taking. It could be, I would say, worsening sleep quality of the child. So these signs and symptoms have to be observed. And one more thing, the worst that can happen. For instance, you feel that, this is not the time when I should stop, or I should draw a line. But what if I draw the line at the wrong time? Believe me, you dear parents, there is absolutely nothing to lose. The worst that will happen is for a week, the child would be unleashed more. And we as a parent really need to understand by experimenting, by taking chances, and of course, by digging way deep into the child's behavior. And if I can take a liberty, Ambika, here, I would also like to add one more thing here. Please do not keep it as a first resort to take your child to I would say a counselor. Only if the child is not talking or he's not eating, we as a parent can be the best counselor to the child. Because when we start taking intervention, when we start labeling, when we start specifying that the child is not doing something right, it in most of the cases further aggravates the symptom or the problem rather than improving it. So there is absolutely no predefined line where you have to stop. Just observe the sign, observe the symptoms, and once again, be there, talk a lot, communicate a lot, set a lot of examples for the child. Yeah. Yes, Ambika.
Yeah, so on that, actually, there is a similar question to what you have already said. There's a question here which someone is asking, kids till the age of 5 don't go very frequently to a neighbor's house to mix and interact, like an introverted sort of child, or interact in big cities. They're quite apprehensive of that. So how does this impact their development and social skills?
Yeah. Well, of course it does. I mean, like I'm 28, and I remember when I was like in class 1 and 2, my mom would drag me from my neighbor's house, because I would come home and declare that I want to relocate to my neighbor's house, because I like spending time with them. I like to go open their fridge and take stuff out. And yeah, I mean, lot of engagement was there. Now the thing is, the alternate options that a child has are way too much, which do not give him the room, I would say, to step out and go to neighbors or even visit friends for any other activity. Because the only mode of entertainment, if I remember as a child, I had was Doordarshan, like as a TV, and there were two channels. One would come after 8:30, DD2, and DD1 was like the entire day. So I did not have options. So I would step out. We would in fact step out. So some sort of moderation again there could happen. there could be a specific time for using a cell phone, or for you watching TV, or for even reading books, for any indoor activities. Just like we do it for outdoor activities, there should be some stipulated time, because the child when he's actually bored and he's not having anything else to look forward to sitting indoors, he will definitely step out. And as I said, in the case of diet as well as in case of communication as well, we have to lead by example here. I know most of the mothers sometimes also are not aware about who the next door neighbor is, or we're not even visiting them often. So if this does I would say affect you or bother you as a parent, that the child is not visiting the neighbors and is not interacting much in the society, you could probably lead by example. Make more trips to the neighbors, invite them over, host casual lunch, casual snacks, casual teas for your neighbors, so that the child gets to interact. Because end of the day, if we talk about like 5 years, 10 years down the line, even when the child enters the corporate world, in the highly competitive world, one attribute, or one thing, one characteristic which this current generation is actually bleeding with right now, is lack of being social. So I really respect that you as a parent is concerned, and I'm very positive that you'll start leading by example, taking initiatives to actually let your child know that this is the right thing to do, to meet people, to interact with people, to make friends, and to, of course, be more a part of society. Yeah.
I have an interesting question here that's come up
Yeah.
about how a parent should react after a child has either won or lost a game. I think that's quite an
Yeah. Yeah.
important question. How to
I think
handle the
I
child.
yeah. Thank you. I think, Ambika, let's do one thing. Let's change the question right now. Let's change the question itself before we answer this. Let's remove the word. Let's eliminate the word losing and failing. And because as a person, I would say, if somebody says you failed or you lost, I mean that makes a dent in the heart itself, that, oh my God, something bad has happened. First of all, saying it's okay to not win. Say it 100 times in a day. It's okay to not win. It's good to win, but it's okay to not win. Okay, and we can replace the word. We can do some change in the phraseology, the vocabulary that we use. We can change the word failing or losing with feedback. I was talking to a child in a very large chess tournament in Asia, like last month, and I suggested a parent, in fact, the same thing, and the parent tried that, and it really worked for the parent. That do not say that you lost the game. Rather say the other person won the game. Similarly, like even for the non-chess parents watching this live right now, I would say if the child is not topping in the class, he's not topping the charts, or there are some often complaints from the teachers in the parent-teacher meets and all, that he's not able to score in the top 10, top 3, top 20. The child should know. I mean, life is beyond numbers, beyond ranking, beyond results. And more you reinforce this thing in the child's head, that it's great to win, but it's okay to not win. And of course, in the case of school exams as well, because apart from chess, there are other areas also where the child goes, performs, and gets like so-called negative and positive results. So it's okay to reinstill this thing in the head, that it's perfectly fine. Give him more hugs. Take him to a nice dinner, even when he's not able to score as much as your or the teacher's expectation was. Or in this case, I would say the other person wins the chess game. Still treat him well, and at no cost scold him. At no cost even use the word, you know what, you had the potential, next time you try again. Because when the parents start even saying this thing, don't worry, Baba, you had the potential, it's okay, we'll try next time. The phrase you had the potential is first of all reconfirming that the child could not make it this time. So change the phraseology, change the way we convey the message to the child. Rather use very positive phrases, that it's okay. Being number 1 is not important. Number 2 is fine. Number 10, number 15 is fine. And of course, the child is still evolving. And for him, the first pilgrimage, the first tirth, that is a mother's and a father's arms. So as long as the child feels secure in that cocoon of your arms, and when you're reassuring that, okay, Baba, I'm still your mom, and I still love you, and I'm equally, in fact, I'm more proud of you that you handled this entire thing well. The child is eventually going to take it not to his heart, but to actually use that defeat or that feedback, not failure, to his benefit in the next attempt or next game or performance. Yeah.
There's another question coming up that the stress levels can get quite high in competitive arenas, be it academics, be it any sport, be it chess. Obviously, you have your coaches have been working with you. You've been working hard. So a child in itself, he has this. I wouldn't say fear, but he has an expectation of himself also. So as a parent,
Right.
how do you cope with that? Like, how do you make him realize that it's okay to have expectations, but it's okay to fail as well and learn from that?
Right. See, again, I would say, I've seen in the chess families, like families who are involved a lot in chess, and even the families where lot of emphasis is on studies. Whenever there is any vacant time, free time as we call it, there is discussion about chess or studies. That discussion has to be done away with. Whenever the child is not playing or not studying or is out of his chess domain or books domain, there should be small talk, maybe about the weather, maybe about the food, maybe about whether the child has made a new friend in school or not. Because actually this happens. I mean, as a child, if I'm a student, if I'm a child, if I'm a kid, and the moment I leave my house, I'm told to do certain things. When I come back, my mother asks me, okay, how did you do in the test today? What did you study? When is the next test? How was the result? How much did the other person score? This thing is happening in the time when I'm actually not involved in the specific thing. But still, if we as a parent will keep hammering the same thing in the child's free time, the child not only will feel that his expectations are unrealistic, he might, despite having the potential, not be able to perform that well. Yeah. So in the ideal time, in the leisure time, it's important to indulge more in small talk rather than discussing only about chess, academics, or the child's progress in any field, be it any game or any discipline. Mansi Dutt has asked a question here. Please suggest ideal screen time upper limit for kids 6 to 10 years age group. Also, does playing chess furthers analytical abilities of a child? What games can you suggest for English language development skills? Thank you, Mansi, for this question. The upper limit for a child, I would say, is the upper limit for an adult as well. A child and an adult both should use the screen, be it a phone, be it an iPad, be it a laptop, only till the time it is needed. Like it's very funny. The first thing in the past used to be taking God's name or worshiping or saying a prayer, and these days it's like about checking your notification on Facebook and how many WhatsApp family group messages we have received. So that is exactly, even we as an adult there are faltering. That is not the ideal time for us to be looking at a screen. So if a child is playing a game or doing some homework or solving some puzzle or even playing chess, because as I mentioned in the start, now majority of the learning of chess as a game is being taught online, learned online, practiced online. Even in the game of chess, only till the time the child needs to have the mobile phone in the hand, he or she should have it. Apart from that, it's important to hand him over anything else, maybe a broom to help him learn hygiene or something, but he should not have a cell phone in his hand. One thing important here, if I as a mother or a father is scrolling on the phone, is just tapping on the touchscreen on the phone 5 hours a day, and I expect my child to leave the phone when I tell him to, it would be not a rational game. So again, lead by an example. Only the time till the child is actually doing something constructive on the phone, he should be having the exposure to screen. Otherwise, it's definitely a big no. And the child, dil to bacha hai ji, as they say, even a 40-year-old child, even a 50-year-old child, I'm talking on behalf of right now. And chess, in fact, yes, definitely chess does furthers the analytical abilities, patience. It helps in the emotional, I would say, improving the emotional quotient of the person as well. And definitely it instills a lot of sense of respecting others. It's very, I would say, overwhelming to see in a good way, of course, that even after losing the game of a chess, if for those of us who have seen chess players playing, the players shake hands, they smile at each other, they put the pieces back on the board, and then they walk away, they collect their stuff. So all areas of life, in fact, I would say, not only analytical abilities, chess does help a lot. And though I'm not able to recall the exact name of the study, there was a study that chess players are found out to be least depressed in their lives, and they are supposed to be leading most happy lives, and they have a better sleeping pattern. They are very disciplined with their sleeping habits. And even about our grandmaster RB Ramesh, talking of the super coach of world, he himself shared when we have sessions with him, and those parents who have heard him, talking live in the sessions, he has a very strict lifestyle that he follows, a very very disciplined sleep pattern, and that sense of respect for others, that humility, that simplicity. So chess as a game, Mansi, is definitely going to up the child's attitude, and of course his other abilities which he needs to grow up in life. Yeah. And it's been like amazing flow of questions that has been coming even live during the session also. And Ambika, I have a question, and I'll love to share that how do we manage school studies and chess training and travel to coaching classes when already the distances are too much in bigger cities, in the tier 1, tier 2 cities? I would recommend parents that of course it's tough to send out children to various classes and all. If there is an option to exploit technology, technology can be exploited in all good ways. And in fact, I would like to make one announcement here, because as a gratitude towards School Connects and to be at nurtr.com, we have this online course of Grandmaster RB Ramesh, where we are giving, I would not say equal, but maybe more than the content a child would get at a face-to-face chess coaching class. Around more than 40 hours of online learning we are giving across various levels, beginner, intermediate, expert levels. And because of our love and respect for the amazing parents who joined us on this fine evening, ditching all the weekend plans, even School Connects and Nurture are very happy and proud to offer a 10% scholarship waiver to the parents to sign up within the next 48 hours. All you have to do is just enroll for this course using this scholarship code, which is on the screen right now. It's SCN10. And we would be happy to help your child grow as an individual, as a child, and of course as a chess player for those who want to take it up professionally. And yes, coming back to the part, technology is available out there, resources are available out there. Traveling time and other constraints should not be an impediment in a child not taking proper chess coaching. Another good part about online chess training is that it's way too economical. Yeah, because the setup is there, the infra is there. All you need is a mobile device, a laptop, or maybe an iPad, and a decent internet connection. Yeah. So I would encourage all the parents, the chess parent and the non-chess parents, to at least as not an experiment, but as a healthy input, introduce your child to the game of chess. And you, as well as a parent, should try to play chess, because chess is not a game, it's a lifestyle, it's a tool of attitude, and of course it does have the power to change and transform the planet. And quoting again the same thing, that if we all play chess, the word called crime would stop to exist in the world. And of course it was a great interaction today with all the more than 100 parents who joined us. And for those questions, because there was an overflow of questions, and we really love you for the support in this entire webinar. We will make it a point that all your questions get answered. We had received a link to submit the questions. Even in the next 48 hours, you can keep submitting your questions there. I'll personally be answering all the questions which have been asked. No question will go unanswered, and you can feel free to get in touch with us also. And thanks again to School Connects once, and even School Connects is doing its great part. Like always, they're also offering a 500 rupee voucher of Flinto box, which would be courtesy. Yeah, which would be courtesy, School Connects. And on this happy note, I would say thanks once again for joining us live here today. And really sorry about the small glitch there when we didn't have the lights. But yes, your faces right now are shining brighter than all these LED lights. And thank you once again for that. See you very, very soon. Thanks again to School Connect and nurtr.com for making this happen. So at the end, we at Nurture say, come on world, come on India.
Thank you again for the entire parent community here, because their time is the most important point here, and they have invested as parents, and I think that's most important here. And they're coming.
That too on a weekend, when most of them have plans. And those in North India have a very nice weather right now to enjoy. But of course, it's a beautiful thing, and really thanks the parents for that.
Absolutely, and absolutely no doubt that thanking the nurture team and Mr. Parth and Ambika and Ankit back as well, to bring this such insights for parents here. So
Thank you.
really look forward to go work with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.